Hi everyone, thanks for stopping by Peace Garage. Well, we're going to get back to work on the Cobra. We're going to hook up a pigtail harness to the reverse switch on my Tremec TKO600 transmission. We're going to hook it right into the wiring harness, and then we're going to put in a reverse light. I know what all you Cobra guys are thinking. The Cobra does not have a backup light on it, and you're right, it didn't. But 53 years have passed since this car was made. A lot of laws has changed, and in New York State I have to have a reverse light in order to pass New York State inspection. So we're going to hook up the harness to the transmission, we'll hook up that switch, and then we'll install a tail light. And I found a really neat stealth tail light that can actually be taken off when I'm driving it, so I don't have to keep it on there. So let's get to work. Alright, it's pretty simple how this works. Here's the switch right here in the transmission, and this is just a switch. When you put the gear shifter in reverse, this switch closes and allows current to pass through, which means you take this connector, and the connectors, it has the pins on the inside, and this is just a Ford connector. I have the number if anybody would like it, but this just presses on to these pins and it makes it waterproof like that. And that switch just allows current to pass through. So I have my negative here, and this will go to my ground. That's the return. And the purple is the power coming from my harness. And if I look at my harness here, you can read the wire. It says here, okay, here's the power coming from the fuse block. So I have a fuse in there. So I'll hook this to the purple, and I'll put the black to this one. And like I said, when you put it in reverse, this switch closes, allows current to pass through, and it goes back to the light. Alright, I have both of these soldered together. I got some heat shrink tubing on there. And I'm just going to tuck these back into the convoluted tubing. Just get it back to where the switch is here. Let it stick out a little bit. Just like that. When I finish up my wiring harness, when I screw the wiring harness to the frame, I'll clean it up, put some electrical tape on there, and I'll put a little bit of piece of convoluted tubing on here, just so it looks nice. But we're hooked up. Now we can go check to make sure we have power back to the light. Alright, first I'm going to check to make sure I have power here. Here's the wire coming from the wiring harness to back light, and since it goes to ground, I just have my ground hooked up to the ground of the frame. And when I put it in reverse, I should get continuity right through to the meter. I'll put it in reverse. Now here's the real dilemma. I don't want to cut into the fiberglass. I really don't want to have anything sticking out of the fiberglass here. I'd like to have it tucked underneath. And it took me a while to find one, but I found this LED light. This is really cool. This has got a bracket. I'll show you. It's got a bracket on it here. Move this out of the way. A nice bracket here, and this thing tilts like this on this bracket, like that. So with that bracket, with those holes, put some light on this so you can see. It's got these brackets and these holes, and right underneath here is the frame. So I can hook my ground up from the light right to the frame, and this actually comes with a whole bunch of bracketry. I don't really need that because I'm going to hook it right to the frame and let it point down. The nice thing is I can angle it the way I want to have it angled. And it has a fuse in there, but I don't need that because the hot lead that comes in the wiring harness comes right from the fuse box. Alright, here's the center of the frame, and here's my bracket. And I'm just going to mount this to the frame with some self-tapping screws. Just get it centered right on the bracket. Now we'll just put the light in. The nice thing, it fits just below the body here. This is really nice. Okay, now all I have to do is hook this up to the ground. So I'll put a ground on here, right to the frame, and hook the positive up to the wire that comes down for the light. I'll make this one a temporary connection until I formally run the wires for the harness. All right, now we can try it out. Tuck this back up here. Temporarily. Let's see how it works. You can see why I call it stealth, because it kind of fits up underneath here. When you stand up, you can barely see it. But let's give it a try. Put it in reverse. There we go. Beautiful. Now that the reverse light is hooked up, the chassis wiring is 100% complete. I could drive it right now, but I still got to put the trunk on. And I want to design some sort of sound system. I'm going to put like an MP3, Bluetooth, some kind of player in there so I can have some music. Got to have tunes in the car, right? Can't drive around in a convertible without tunes playing, go to cruise nights. So if you haven't already, click on subscribe so you can follow along. Thanks for stopping by Pete's Garage.